Wages World here. It is June the 23rd, going into the 24th as I'm making this video. And yeah, so I'm going to come at you with one. We got some pretty interesting stuff to talk about tonight. We got the Sahara dust cloud that's coming right now. It's in the Caribbean right now, and we'll talk more about that. We also got some upward traveling lightning. That's pretty cool. Had a subscriber send me some captures on that one, and that was it's pretty amazing. If you guys looked at the thumbnail, that's something that, you know, I knew it happened, but I really hadn't seen very many captures of it. But we got one now, so we'll check that out too. What else are we gonna talk? Oh, big earthquake, Mexico. It actually, you can see stuff, you know, shaking. I think there was a tsunami warning along with it. I don't think it ever really amounted to much as far as the tsunami went, but that did get issued from the way I understand it. That makes a few 7+s in the past week. So we, and that isn't always bad. Okay, it isn't always bad. We have to have those pressure releases somewhere. When it gets real dangerous is when we're not experiencing any of that. And that's when the really, really big ones happen, because all that stuff is just building up and it's not releasing. So when it finally does release, look out, because here it comes. But yeah. And again, I'm not the earthquake guy. I'll just tell you that straight up. Obviously, I would send people over to Dutch and, Dutch Sense. And, that's where I go to look at my stuff. And obviously, he's done. Go check out his video over there, because he actually went over that whole Quake, but I'll show it to you guys too. So anyway, we'll get into this. All right, guys, right here is this human. Again, we do have a couple spikes here. That one there, that's a significant spike. Okay, didn't last very long, but it was pretty. Now, something I did notice around this particular spike is that just prior to the spike, we've seen an overall increase in intensity. Okay, sometimes that happens, sometimes it doesn't. It's a crapshoot, whichever one we get here. But this particular one, it seems as though something kind of slowly came on and then it spiked. Whatever that could be. Actually, I guess it could. I haven't really looked, but I guess it could be around the earthquake. Believe it or not, you have to understand that when there's an earthquake, it usually resonates through the whole planet. That's evident by all the seismographs. Mr. MBB3 does a really good job of showing all the seismograph locations. There's a website you can go to, and you can see how they're all reacting. And when we get big ones like that, you can literally see the wave of it just go through the planet. It's pretty amazing. And again, Mr. MBB3 does a really good job of showing that. And I'm not sure if he showed this one or not. I would assume if he did any kind of video on it, he probably did. I haven't checked out his latest video yet. Just haven't had time yet today. But yeah, so go check that out. I'm sure he's done a video on it. Maybe not. Maybe he's working on it. Maybe he won't. I don't know. But earthquake here could actually cause the Schumann to change, guys. Stuff's vibrating, obviously. So then that's why we look at this, and it would make sense that, that's a precursor to that spike. So maybe it started rumbling or what have you, and then it spiked. I really don't know what time that earthquake even popped off. We'll look at it here in a minute, but this spike happened between 1 and 2 on the 24th. So I don't think it had anything to do with the earthquake there. This could have been, not sure, but there you go. But as far as the rest of Schumann, guys, again, it's our new norm. So that's where I'll stop with that. All right, guys, this is that upward lightning, and check it out, man. Ain't that pretty cool? Ignore that, please. But this actually travels from the ground up. And why does it do that? So I did a little bit of research, and I'm just now researching this, for myself to begin with here, guys. And what I can understand about it is that the electromagnetic field that's around this, when you have a typical lightning strike from the cloud to ground, sometimes it changes the polarity that's really close to it, and then you'll have this upward strike because what was now negative is now positive, and things have flipped around just for a minute. And that's the way I kind of understand this is how this happens. So it's, usually these happen right around another lightning strike that happened very close or and adjacent to this area. I guess a lot of them come from like taller buildings. That it tends to happen more from buildings. So, you know, I really don't know exactly what causes this particular, but that's the way I understand it. If I'm wrong, I apologize. I don't think I am, at least on that basic definition there. And I'm sure there's a whole lot more science behind that. But this is just something I really didn't really pay much attention to. I'd seen them before, but I figured they were so rare that we really wouldn't see many of it or much of it or what have you. And of course, we always got to take in consideration that our planet's changing, guys. All the planetary changes that's going on, we're going to see more and more anomalies, phenomena, stuff that we just can't explain. And, you know, there's going to be a bunch of different theories and all that, and we all have our own. But I just thought this was really cool. I'm going to play this again for you so you guys can check it out again. I can't remember who sent me this. They asked me not to mention their name, so I won't mention name, but I do appreciate you that did send this over to me. It's pretty cool. And again, you can see clearly that it travels from the ground up. You know, so if you see my thumbnail, obviously, you know, that is what it is. But there you go, guys. I mean, I just thought that was really, really cool. Does it have anything to do with what's going on? Not really. And again, what it does is it just puts another notch there for something that's rare that's happening right now. Okay? And it just points to more, you know, evidence that things are changing. So, and that's kind of what I'm doing this for. So, okay, so what we want to look at, guys, first is the timestamp. We want to know when it starts and when it first picked it up. So you're going to look at it, it starts on the 23rd. So we know that it updated, it picked something up, right? And this is not a big one, okay? I have to say, I want to stress that because I don't think it's going to be much of anything. I do, though, think that it could give us a glancing blow. So we may see some disruption on magnetosphere tools, you know, as we deflect it off. Could see some increased auroras, all the above, okay? But I don't think this is going to be a major event at all. Okay, I have to stress that. So, if we look down through here, you're going to see, and what we're looking at over here, right here, is a top-down view. Okay? This is a top-down view. And with that being said, if we look at it, we can see where it blows off. And again, it's really, really faint because it's not a very powerful one. It's right there. See it? It's going to look like just a small little distortion. Now, one thing I will point out, this thing, you see this square box right here? That's the Parker SP probe satellite. So that CME blasted that SP. So it looks like it's going to, you know, hit it here in the next day, if it ain't already doing so. So they're going to get some good information from that, and we'll probably never get to see it, just so everybody knows. But that is one thing that, you know, they're able to see there, because that looks like that CME did go right at it. And with it being such an odd-looking CME, really compacted like a plasma ball. I showed you guys that yesterday. And it being in like a C shape and traveling in that shape was really odd to me. Now, we've seen it travel like that before, but that was very, very defined. That's the only reason why it kind of struck me funny. Now, so it looks like it could, you know, give us a glancing blow here at Earth, which is that yellow dot. Now, we can't just go off of that one. We have to go over here and look too. Okay? So, this is a side view. We're looking at the Earth. Basically, what you're looking at, this here is basically the equator of the sun that's stretched on out. Okay? So, we're looking at a side view. And it, according to this, it looks like it hits us a little bit too. Okay? So, now we got two of them. Now we got to have our third, so we make sure that we get, that we're looking at this the right way. So we look at this, and what we're looking at is for distortion. You see that little distortion area that happens right in here? I'll leave that circle there for a minute. Right there. See that? So what we're looking at here is we're looking at Earth's orbit right here, and it's stretched out into a straight line. That's what this is representing right here. Okay? So it does look like that distortion does get us. So all three of these graphs, all three of these models are showing that we're going to get hit with this thing. It looks like it's going to be like a sideways blow. It doesn't look like we're going to take it on the chin, but it does. If you look at this really, really close, you can see the distortion go all the way to the other side of the planet, which means it hits the whole planet. It doesn't mean we're taking it on the chin, because we would have to be getting hit right with the middle, most intense part of it. And that looks to be like kind of up here. So it's still a side blow, but I think the whole Earth is going to get hit with this thing. Sometimes we just kind of catch a sideways glancing blow. This looks to be a little different. So we could see, like I said, we're going to see increased auroras. So when's this going to hit us? Probably the next question. You can just time it out by looking at the timestamp up here when they think it's going to hit. It looks like about... let's see here. Probably about the 28th, 29th is what we need to be looking for here. Again, today's the 23rd going to the 24th. That's pretty typical. Okay, remember what I said yesterday. We got days to look at this. Okay? And that's something we don't get with solar flares. By the time we can report a solar flare, it's already hit us. I mean... Even if we've seen when it first happened, we couldn't get out on the internet fast enough to tell people. So that's the danger in a flare, not to mention a lot of times they're really, really powerful. So anyway, but this one does look like we're going to get hit with it. So that's what's happening there, guys. But yeah, so just stay safe, guys. I'll try to come back with another update tomorrow, see what's going on. This is all stuff that is happening at once, okay? And it's just pointing towards things are changing, and we're just going to have to accept that and do what we can to, be prepared. All right? Because what was it? Back on the 18th, there was a 7.4 over in New Zealand off the coast. And now we got on the 23rd, like 5 days later, another 7.4. That's pretty significant stuff, guys. Those are not chump earthquakes. People are dying in this one, and that's where it really draws people's attention. So, so just keep your head on a swivel, and we'll do the best we can. Try to stay as positive as you can with all the crap going on around us right now. Don't just be positive. Pay it forward. Somebody does something good for you, you pay it forward. Don't expect stuff in return. It's like today, I was leaving the doctor's office, and there was a guy in there, and he was talking about, needing a ride and all that. And, I went in for my visit, and I came back out, and the guy was gone or whatever. I just assumed he got a ride. And I was on my way home, and I seen him walking. And I spoke to him in the waiting room. So I turned around, went back, and got him and took him home. He was walking home. Like, he was going to have to walk like 3 miles home. It's crazy. So... It's stuff like that. Now, I don't encourage people to pick people up on the side of the road. That's not what I'm saying. I'd already talked to the guy. We'd already met. We knew each other's name. I felt very comfortable with it and all that. I never would have done it if it was just somebody, doing whatever. But that's the kind of stuff we're talking about. He tried to give me gas money and all that. And I just like, no, man, I'm doing this because I care about people in general. Hopefully that'll come back around and help me when I need it, So let's just try to do that for each other. And a lot of the stuff that we see going on around us, if we were just to do that, a lot of this stuff would go away. Just saying. God bless. Yeshua saves, and you can drink this Kool-Aid. Okay, guys, we're going to talk about the Sahara dust cloud. We've been talking about this probably, I haven't really spoke much about it, but it's been reported for the past 3 or 4 years, pretty much every year. And again, guys, it's exactly what the name implies. It's from the Sahara Desert off Africa, and conditions have to be kind of right to get clouds this big. But we've seen them this way for the past 3 or 4 years. You know, and they travel all the way across the Atlantic Ocean and affect us over here. And right now, it's in the Caribbean. I'm sure you guys can see that. And what effects can this have on us? Well, believe it or not, it can actually have a positive effect in the sense that it can dampen the development of tropical storms and hurricanes. Okay, and there's some science behind that, how the pressures and the air rises and all that kind of stuff that I'm not going to get into. But just know that actually is one of the top reasons or top effects that we see from this. Is it going to cause us big, huge problems? Most likely not. It will come up into the southeast U.S. Okay, within the next couple of days. And what you're going to notice is you'll probably notice like a haze. Like if you look up at blue sky, it's going to have more of a muted haze over top of it. And it would be that dust. And then obviously we have to take in consideration people that have allergies. It could mess with people with respiratory issues. And I know that sucks, and I know that most people are going to start, maybe they won't think about this, but it is, it would be really bad for somebody with this global illness right now, is what I'm trying to say. Obviously, if they're ill, they're probably not going to be outside. The typical air filters and stuff you have in your furnace and your central air units, your HVAC units and stuff, would filter out this if you were inside. You might have to change your filters a little bit more often, I would assume. And that's assuming that a lot of this will make it to the ground. I don't know that a whole lot of it will. I really don't know the percentage there. But yeah, so for the next week or so, we're probably going to be dealing with this. Because right now it's in the Caribbean. You can see it, okay, obviously. It's pretty obvious all in your face. And there's a lot of different people reporting on this, and a lot of different captures from different satellites and this and that. But it's all typically showing you the same thing. And this we've seen it. We've been watching it. I just haven't mentioned it since last week. So we know typically we get this stuff usually about every year. I can't really remember a year that we didn't at least see a small cloud come across. And yeah, so there you go. It's something that's, again, I guess, what I would say to this is if you go back 100 years before we had our technology and stuff, people would probably have to wonder, what was going on with this, because you just didn't have all you would have would be people like out in the ocean and stuff, seeing stuff change in the sky or noticing certain things. And maybe they did put it together, but there was probably not a whole lot of ways of actually proving that it was a big cloud. Now, obviously, they could take the air particles and probably look at it under a microscope or whatever, depending on how far back you go, I guess. If they even had, depending on how far back you go. But you could determine where the sand came from, is what I'm saying. It's probably pretty specific, has its own characteristics and all that. And I would also say this too. This gives us a very good idea. If you just say this. If you replace the sand with, I don't know, a certain pollen or a certain, maybe a seed, a really small seed or what have you. I'm not sure if that's actually possible, that it could make it all the way over here and end up growing and all that kind of stuff. But this would show you how, like even the global illness, if certain things could survive a trip like that. That's how stuff gets spread sometimes globally, because we often wonder when we see, especially when we're digging in the ground, look at our fossil layers and sedimentary layers and stuff like that, and we find stuff that sometimes it doesn't look like it belongs. And reasons like this is probably some of it. Not all of it, obviously, but I think that would have a part to play here. But this right here is proven that it's possible to get something from way over there or over here without us even doing nothing. So keep that in mind when you're thinking something might not be possible, because it definitely could be. So, okay, guys. And this is planetxnews.org. It's Scott's web page. He writes some really good articles over here. You guys should go check it out. But if you guys get over here and you click on the 3 bars, you go to Planet X Research Links. Click that, and it'll give you all the links that, I look at and I use. I'm sure that a lot of other people do the same. So if you look down here, you're going to see it says USGS earthquake data. We're going to click on that link, and there you go. Okay. Obviously, here's the big ones down here in Mexico. Okay. They're still getting aftershocks as that's a 5.4 aftershock. I mean, that's a significant quake on its own. So that's, and again, there's a fault line right there. We all get that. But here's the bigger one. If I can click on it, if it'll let me, there it is. Okay. The 7.4. So we're going to look at this just a little bit more in depth. I'll click on that right there, and it'll take us to all the data. All right. The shake map, the regional information, all that other stuff you guys can go look at. Obviously, the felt report right here, you can see where that's a lot more entries than what we usually see. And it's because it was in an area that actually affected people. Now, here's where the main part of what people really want to see. And it's right here on this pager. Okay, hit the pager right there. And what that's going to do is it's going to give you this. Estimated fatalities and estimated economic loss. That's where most people's minds go. They want to know how bad it was, who it affected, how bad it affected them. And this is where you go to look at this. Okay? And what this is going to do, it's going to give you a percentage of whatever. And I'll explain. Estimated fatalities. Okay? So between 10 and 100 people, there's a 40% chance that between 10 and 100 people died in this thing, guys. Okay? So I'm looking at this, and there's only a 5% chance that nobody lost their life. And that sucks. I hate reporting on stuff like this just for this whole reason right here. But, we have to mention it. Now, so looking at this, I haven't looked at any numbers yet on this as far as official. It looks as though we probably had at least 10 deaths from this, if not more, judging by this graph. Okay? Now, we could have more than 100. There's a 26% chance of that. Now, that would be residual death, like if somebody had gotten buried underneath a fallen building, for example, or something like that, and that's where those numbers can still rise. And then you got over here estimated economic loss. Those are done in U.S. dollar millions. So you're looking at between 10 and 100 million. And, 38% chance of that kind of damage being done. That's a lot, guys. Okay? And again, we have to keep in consideration the part of the world that this was in. Okay? Not everybody has the earthquake protection that we do here. We're pretty spoiled when it comes to stuff like that, guys. I know a lot of us complain, especially people that have to deal with it in their house, as far as bringing stuff up to code for like earthquake protection or hurricane protection. But you live through one of those events and you'll want it done. I promise you. Okay? It's like in the Midwest. I don't understand why they haven't made it mandatory that people have like a designated tornado shelter. Especially like in a trailer park in Oklahoma. I mean, come on, give me a break. I mean, who wouldn't? I still, for the life of me, don't understand that. I don't understand why somebody would want to, and I'm not trying to offend people here. It's just I can't understand why somebody would put themselves in that position and not have, where there's frequent tornadoes, and not have a place that they can go to be safe. I just don't understand it. But, that is what it is, and I understand people have financial issues. Maybe that's the whole issue. I don't know. But typically, because I used to live in a trailer park, it's been a little over 20 years ago, and we had a designated shelter just for everybody in the park that lived in that subdivision. And it was like a neighborhood. It wasn't the typical, we all had trees in our yards, sheds. You had to own to live there, that kind of thing. And maybe that's why we had a designated tornado shelter. If something was to happen, we could go to that, get out of our, our trailers and go to that. Hopefully that's done everywhere, but judging by people that died during those kinds of situations, man, I don't know if it gets done enough. But anyway, there's your earthquake stuff. And again, there was some tsunami concerns here. Obviously, the tsunami concern would be done by now. I mean, it would already have hit. But I don't think there was really much of that. But anyway, there's your earthquake report. Okay, guys, here's that CME that I showed you guys yesterday. You're going to see it blow out here, I think. Here on the right side, it should. At least here on the end. See it kind of pick it up, and then it wasn't very big, okay? And I was questioning whether or not we were going to get hit by it. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you what I'm going to do here. I'm going to go the next day, which is today, and you can see where that CME did go on off out of there, okay? And yesterday I couldn't quite tell if it was going to go to more so to our right, or if it was going to come more at us. And the CME tracker actually updated. I wasn't sure if it was going to even show this CME because it was small. All right, because it was a small one. Now, something else I want to point out before I take you to the CME tracker is looks like we had an ejection over here too today, just a few hours ago. Watch, the red and the blue will pop up. Okay, whenever you see that red and the blue, it's trying to tell you that it's picking up a CME. It tries to outline it, leading edge, and then it tries to outline it. So you can see that. Now that could just be a whatever. We have to wait on more data on that. But let me take you over there. Before we do that, we'll take a look at stereo A again real quick. Okay. If you guys look here, the Earth, we're looking at the sun from the side. Okay. So things that would be going to the right on this one would either be going towards us on Earth, or off kind of at an angle towards the back, or even towards the front. And if that's the case, it would be like going at an angle between us and this satellite, or us and the other satellites on the other side, stereo B. So you can see how that thing went off to the right. I just wanted to show it to you again here real quick. Okay, so with that being said, we're going to go look at the CME tracker. Okay, I got you over here at the CME tracker. And this thing only updates when it sees the CME. So it will leave data there for sometimes weeks at a time, and it never changes unless it sees another CME. Okay? So what you're going to look at here is, first off, well, hold on one second.